What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another Bucks on Deck podcast episode. Back with you after a little bit of a break. Sometimes life happens, people travel, stuff happens. But glad to be back with another episode. A couple days away from the start of the regular season. Finally, get some real baseball going on. But with me, as always, Nola Jeffy. Nola, what's going on, man?
Just another day in paradise.
Good times. Good times. Yeah, we took a little bit of a break. We both had some stuff going on. I think I got sick at some point. You got real busy with other stuff, and then I was in Florida for a week. Then traveling back. I was gone again this weekend. So yeah, finally good to be back and talking some baseball. Regular season begins on Thursday. Pirates, the day we're recording this on Monday, they wrapped up spring training schedule. A little bit of a underwhelming finish to the spring, I would say, with the offense. They got no hit over the weekend, and then didn't score many runs the games that they did get hits and stuff like that. I know spring training. Before we really dive into with it being spring training on a scale 1 to 10, how concerned are you with how that offense kind of just took a narrow dive whenever most of the starters started to play a little bit deeper into the game?
I mean, I went into it concerned, so it's just kind of a matter of I'm not surprised.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were already concerning to me, and so it's just like okay, it's not anything I wouldn't have expected. So
yeah, I wouldn't say that I'm concerned yet, because I'll give it the basis that it is spring. We know spring training can be. I'll just say that this was literally, I think, everyone's concern heading into the year with the lack of moves that the Pirates made, and then you add in the fact that their big offseason addition didn't play all spring with the injury, and now he's not going to. We still don't know how late into the year we're looking at where Spencer Horwitz is supposed to get in. And I guess this is probably a good segue into really what the bulk of it is there. A couple roster moves to be decided for the opening day roster. Most of the pieces have kind of just fallen into place here, but I think the biggest one is going to be first base, and it looks like it's going to be more of a bunch of names kind of thrown against the wall, and they'll kind of see what's done. It came out that Endy Rodriguez is going to get some time there, or at least going to start working there. He played first during the last spring training game. What are your thoughts on the Pirates working Endy in at first base?
I mean, it's not anything he hadn't done before. I still remember that was the big argument. I mean, granted, it seems like forever ago. I don't know what, 3 years ago, the big argument was, what are you going to do with Henry Davis and Endy Rodriguez? And Endy was getting time at first base. They had talked about him as an athlete, just being versatile as it was, that, he could play second base, he could play first base, he could play the outfield probably. And it was just at that juncture kind of what was expected, I guess. Mm-hmm. But obviously they hit a couple of road bumps with both Henry Davis and Endy. So the only thing that bothers me would be the fact that I guess they kind of did it last year as well, but essentially you're going to have both your catchers playing at the same time, and God forbid something happens to both of them, then what?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I guess before people say that's just a dire situation or far-fetched situation, it wasn't too long ago that we had Josh Van Meter playing catcher, because both of the catchers, one got hurt and one got tossed. So things happen, and I think if the plan, I don't know if this was the plan all along. It it kind of gave you mixed feelings that maybe it was. I think it was like Derek Shelton said that they wanted to make sure that Endy would make the team first, and then they would, expand him out to first base. So, like, I guess it was always in the back of their mind. I think at that point, I would rather just carry all three catchers.
Yeah.
Just because, like, yeah, it's going to be weird to say that your backup catcher is your starting first baseman. So I don't know whether that means that, like,
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to be the starting every day. I don't even know if you're going to be able to technically name a everyday first baseman at this point. It's probably going to be a mix of Endy, Jared Triolo. I mean, everyone's going to roll their eyes at this. Adam Frazier, I'm sure we'll see time there. It wouldn't shock me if he was like the opening day first baseman, just because I read somewhere on Twitter that he has like an amazing career average against Sandy Alcantara. Alcantara. Man, I can't talk tonight. And they're facing him
Alcantara?
opening day. Alcantara, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Which, as a side note, it's gonna be good to see.
Maybe,
it's gonna be good to see Sandy back.
Oh, that's gonna be a fun matchup opening day. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Skeens. Yeah. So always good to see one of the and he looked fantastic. I only got to see like one of his games, but like I followed along. He looked fantastic. Not like he missed any time or anything like that at all. So So on top of that, so I think like the first base thing is just kind of like we always talk about like how Ben's kind of put the teams together and stuff like that. And I think first base is kind of just like a representation of that. Like they had other options that they could have gone with, but instead they kind of stretched themselves kind of thin with it by kind of making your backup catcher as one of the options there. So
and that's it's kind of like a micro. It's even just kind of a microcosm as the roster as a whole. It's like they finally got their like as versatile as a roster can get with versatility. And I mean, because how many first basemen are going to end up playing there? Depending on how long Horwitz is out. I mean, there's however many guys that are going to probably play second base, shortstop, third base, and depending on Key and how he's hitting and how his back's feeling, right field, left field. I mean, if Bay is on the roster, I mean, I won't be surprised to see Bay, Cruz, Sawinski all playing center field. It'll probably throw some other people out there every now and then. It's Bart is probably the one player that it's like, okay, catcher.
Yeah.
That and cut your DH.
When I kind of feel like he should be like we talk. There's been talk like all offseason and all spring about like Henry Davis and Endy getting time at first. Like I still kind of believe that like Joey Bart's probably the guy you want to get time at first. He's probably like the third best defensive catcher out of that group. So even then, when you're not being versatile with them, you're kind of limiting yourself defensively again. Like if Joey Bart and Endy Rodriguez are on the field at the same time, I would rather have Endy behind the plate and just throw Bart at first base. But
yeah, I don't know.
So like you mentioned Bay, and I think we were talking about this before the podcast, and it kind of feels like with everything the way that it's lining up is Bay and Sawinski look like they may make the team both, which I feel like is a little curious to me just because like, and you mentioned Brian and Hayes, like you're going to want to keep him as healthy as possible, and which would include Avin Triolo over there at third base, more than maybe you probably want from your backup infielder. But then also if he's going to be playing first as well, the options there to rest these guys doesn't seem there. Like is Frazier playing third now while Triolo is playing first, or it just the way that this bench kind of looks like it's shaping out with having Bay and Sawinski there? Because at first I kind of felt like they're going to be competing against each other for like that last roster spot. But now with the way things are kind of like unfolding, they both might make the team.
Well, that's what I was even just thinking. That might have played a part in Endy making the roster because he's a switch hitter. Because if Sawinski and Bay are making the roster, then that's 3 outfielders, Cruz, Sawinski, and Bay, that are left-handers. Stewart was a left-hander, and it's like, well, we need some right-handed bats because you're going to have likely Kutch and Pham in the roster or in the daily lineup. Key in the daily lineup. Triolo would likely be your right-handed bench bat, but there just really isn't a lot of right-handed options if you would have kept Stewart over Endy.
And I know Cruz started doing a little bit better against lefties towards the end of the year, but I guess in an ideal scenario, if you're going to give him a day off, you might as well just sneak that in against another left-handed pitcher, but then at that point you're just sliding another left-handed hitter, one who can't hit lefties as well, into that spot as well, without an extra option. It's just I don't know. That just doesn't seem suited for what the starters that they have.
Yeah,
somebody's going to be consistently put at a disadvantage when they're having to take the field, kind of thing. So
yeah. And then obviously it just overall defensively concerns me.
Yeah.
And especially if you're gonna be what? Were you gonna segue?
No, go ahead. Finish that
now. Yeah, no, I mean, especially this was something I said even a couple of years ago. I mean, I feel like they need to just lean into one or the other, and and defense is gonna be the cheapest. So, would have kind of thought they'd try to lean into that, and especially when your team's gonna live and die by its pitching, everything is gonna be with regards to that. If they're gonna succeed or fail, they have the depth, they have the guys, they have all the makings of a pitching staff that could be very, very, very good. But then you're going to back them up with again, is Key going to be healthy? Mm-hmm. How is IKF going to handle everyday shortstop? He was, okay in spring. Gonzalez did make strides last year, but how's he going to be over a full season? Even when Horwitz comes back, he wasn't exactly the best defensive first baseman. Bart's not great at defense. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I think if you're going to lean into the pitching thing like they've obviously done, then you need to put the defense around it to go with it. If you're not going to out hit anyone, so you have to do everything in your power to keep as many runs off the board as possible. And if you're fielding a bunch of below average fielders, yeah, sure, you have Paul Skeens out there 30 to 33 times a year, and he's going to strike a bunch of people out. But there's still going to be some balls that get put into play, and right. that one Devin Bednar outing to where on the stat sheet it looked really bad for him. But also too, if you watch it, you could very clearly see that if he had average defense behind him there, that inning probably doesn't get out of hand for him. So you add that over and the course of 162 games, then
and that's
this pitching staff could only strike out so many people, and then when you add in the fact that you have no idea how long Jared Jones is going to be out now at this point, that's one of your pitchers out off the. That's one of the guys who's not going to put the ball into play on a consistent basis, out now. So now you got more pitchers that are probably going to be a little more pitch to contact, and if the defense can't handle that, then having all that pitching means nothing, really. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Gonna be interesting.
Very this is a very positive podcast episode so far.
Hey, baseball's starting.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the rotation, we'll kind of shift into the pitching staff here. Another question for you before we kind of do like a deep dive with it. 1 through 5 right now,
Questions.
where it stands. 1 through 5, where it stands right now with the news that Carmen Mlodzinski is going to be the fifth starter. How confident are you with this pitching staff going into this year?
Well, okay. Oof. Although Heaney has kind of concerned me a little bit, just because he was a guy that was averaging 94 on his fastball, and it might still be warming up, but it's a little concerning that he's been like lower 90s. Falter's still kind of in the same space he was last year, to where it's like at any given time he could look like a very dominant pitcher, even just throwing 91, because of some where certain people tend to not like his pitch shape and his command at the top of the zone. Like if he's spotting that fastball, I mean, he can be unhittable. Maybe not unhittable, but very hard to make consistent, solid contact against. And so he can be good. Mlodzinski, I'm optimistic about Mlodzinski because I think he made a lot of huge strides once coming to the majors, and hopefully he can parlay that into starter success. Obviously, we're not talking of seeing, they're going to look like an ace out all of a sudden, but you have your ace, you have your mid rotation in Keller, and effectively 3 back end starters. So I'm not that concerned, in part because they have guys that are essentially like ready.
Yeah.
Harrington's essentially MLB ready. Bubba's essentially MLB ready. Ashcraft, I mean, they might want to give him in just because of injury history. Burrow, same thing. But they have like an entire AAA rotation that could slide up if, need be.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the fact that, again, it's like another roster construction question. The fact that the entire Pirates depth when it comes to their starting pitching is basically unproven prospects on it.
Yeah. But I mean, I would take I'm trying to remember some more of the names. But I'll take the collection of upper level, high upside arms they have right now than they did back way when it was like Brandon Compton.
Yeah. I mean, that's true.
When we had all those, Adrian Sampson. I'm trying to remember some other names, but yeah, they just had a slew of like back end spot starters that they could just toss in here and there. But I think they have the types of guys that have a little more upside to at least go on like a nice little 3-game run.
Yeah. And that's all you really need to get back around the rotation to Skeens kind of thing. So.
Right. Well, and, hopefully Jones is fine and healthy and gets back. So, and that itself helps push things down.
Yeah. Part of me wants to say that it's not that it's a good sign, or it's a better than what it could be sign that they're going with someone like Mlodzinski over Thomas Harrington, solely because, like, I guess in the same way that like them deciding to roll with a combination of Frazier, Endy, and Triolo at first base because they're thinking maybe Horwitz isn't going to be out for too long, so there's no need to shuffle up the roster too much. maybe the fact that they're going with
Yeah.
Mlodzinski could mean the same thing with Jones. I don't know. Obviously, I don't want to get too much into it without, when you hear elbow discomfort and then second opinion, I guess your mind automatically goes one place. But also,
Right.
if it's already heading that kind of way, then maybe there are some names that you can replace on the 40-man like pretty easily. I feel like to just get Harrington on the 40-man and in the opening day rotation.
Yeah. Yeah.
That being said, with the rotation, I feel like this very clearly isn't the best 5 that you can have to start the year. But also considering that you have 162 games that you're going to have to manage through, this is probably the best way to approach your initial 5 because now you're a little bit deeper. You keep Harrington in AAA as depth for now instead of sliding him up there and probably sliding Mlodzinski back into the bullpen. That's one less guy that can go that, 3, 4, 5 innings and stuff like that. Early season, I like it. We get a couple weeks to a month in, and like Mlodzinski isn't really doing what we want. Then I think maybe you kind of pull the plug there and go get one of these AAA kids down there to take his place. If Jones isn't back or on his way back by then.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a lot worse. It could be a lot worse.
And we've seen a lot worse over the last couple of years. So, yes, I think obviously there's a big hole in the rotation right now without Jared Jones. Like you said, just imagine a couple years ago losing a guy of Jared Jones's caliber. The guy that you're bringing up now is probably way better than the guy that you would have brought up 3-4 years ago.
They're not calling up a guy that has a 7.0 ERA in AAA. And you're like, he just needs to eat innings. Hey, Jared Eichhoff, you're staying out there until you get through 5. We don't care how many pitches that takes.
Yeah. Enjoy your paycheck. This is what you got to do to get it. You're going to earn that paycheck. Yeah. So, shifting to the bullpen. And since we've kind of led off with a question on each thing, we're going to lead off with a question here with the bullpen. Scale 1 to 10, how confident are you in if David Bednar is the closer going into the year?
Wait, 10 is very confident?
10 is very confident.
4.
See, look, I'm torn with it because I feel like you always buy the stuff, and the stuff hasn't looked bad. The stuff still looks pretty good. It's just at what point do you kind of be like, well, yeah, he has really good stuff, but that stuff just gets hit way too much.
Yeah, he just doesn't have the command he used to.
Yeah. It's what is it? It was like do you remember what that home run that he allowed against the Twins today? I guess when we were recording, how hard that fastball was that got hit out. I think I saw on Twitter it was like 94, 95. So like he is like, we're gonna use the bad word here. He has good shape on the fastball. It's just a matter of if he's not locating it, he's gonna run into issues, and he ran into an issue today.
Yeah,
and how many of these
good shape? Good shape. Yeah, I mean, good shape allows you to miss in the zone more often than not. Well, I guess not more often than not. Allows you to miss more often in the zone than if you didn't have great shape.
Correct.
But that doesn't mean you do that one too many times.
Yes.
As well as leaving your other stuff in bad spots. They're going to time it up and eventually take you out.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when it's sitting 94, 95. That's much easier for them to take out as opposed to like a Bubba Chandler fastball that's going to go 98, 99 and then like just flies and just goes all over the place out of his hand. So a little bit different. So, but outside of Bednar, kind of looking at the roster, you kind of feel like there's 2 spots open left. We know Borucki's going to make the team now. Santana, Holderman, Caleb Ferguson, Tim Meza. I'd expect him to make it. So that leaves 2 empty spots for like 3 player. What is it? Tanner Rainey got reassigned on Monday. So that leaves Trevor Lawrence. That leaves Joey Wentz. Did I say Trevor Lawrence? I said Trevor Lawrence, didn't I? Justin Lawrence, and then Peter Strzelecki. Is that just kind of like obvious? When was the last time you saw a bullpen with like 4 lefties in it? Because that kind of feels like that's where we're heading.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, because I think it's a little different than it was probably last year, where you had Aroldis Chapman, and it was like, well, we need another lefty, and it's like, well, no one was really standing out, and this spring, it's like, okay, well, they're like all pitching well, so who do you keep? And it's like, well, Nicholas has options, so it's kind of like an extended spring training to where it's like, all right, let him just go throw some innings in AAA to keep his arm live, and just let the cards fall as they may with the other guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It kind of feels like, okay, so Nicholas had 8 walks in 9 innings this spring, so that's not exactly ideal. Still, I kind of feel like, I mean, they love his stuff. Obviously, this is more of he's a casualty of being able to go to AAA without risk losing him. And again, it may not be the best 8 bullpen, but it also, for an early season bullpen, I don't mind it because you want those extra arms as like the starters are continue to fully get stretched out. You have options to go to. It gives you an extra couple weeks because was it Joey Wentz and Justin Lawrence? They're both out of options, so they would have to go through waivers to get off the roster. This gives you an extra 2 weeks to kind of continue to have a competition in season to figure out like who to keep. At that point, they give it like 2 weeks, and it's like, okay, well, one of you guys got to go, and whoever's not doing the better of the 2, they get shipped out, and in comes Kyle Nicholas, kind of thing. Maybe the couple weeks down there in AAA, he gets the control right. We all love his stuff. It's just it's always a matter of throwing strikes with him.
Yeah, I mean, eventually he'll be the closer this year. But that aside, yeah, I mean, obviously you always hope to find the next Dennis Santana, but you also hope they don't spend too long trying to find the next one, because why am I forgetting his name now? Anthony Banda. I mean, yeah, you're going to have an Anthony Banda who was okay here. Wasn't great. They let him go. No one shed a tear. Goes to the Dodgers, and he's like an elite back-end reliever winning World Series. And it's like, yeah, it's going to happen just like we picked Dennis Santana off the, waivers, and dude's a stud. And you just hope that he continues his upward trajectory, because he might even end up being thrusted into a closer role early on. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Relievers are just very fickle to me, and they're gonna be hit or miss. You just hope to find the more consistent ones.
Yeah, and you hope you can. This sounds like cold, but get everything you can out of them before that they kind of fall off the cliff, kind of thing, and then you're able to cut bait before it's kind of hurt the team too much, right? As they kind of fall down that cliff. So, yeah. I know you're working on your little season prediction thing that we're kind of all working on and all that, but so if you don't have like the answer to it right now, but give me a ballpark range. How many wins do you think this team's at right now going into the year?
I'm saying 76.
76. Is that what they finished with last year?
I think they're gonna be right around the exact same that they've been. There's outside of, and there's room for things to go terribly wrong. There's room for improvement. There's quite a bit of room for improvement, but which I guess, I'm going to kind of put that in my little summary, just that there's room for them to be better, but it's going to require like practically majority of the roster hitting their 90th percentile or better projections, but
And
that's putting a lot of eggs in one basket kind of deal.
yeah, and I feel like that's kind of been the feeling that I've gotten from them for like the last 2-3 years. It's like, well, I can definitely see the path to this team finishing with the winning record, but that path has so much going on it that you have to get through. You have to hope that, I mean, you have Joey. You have to hope that, I mean, like even one of the guys who you kind of feel like is an established and a guy that you could kind of count on. Like even you got to feel like you got to hope that Joey Bart's like last season wasn't just like a 1-year thing, and that he can put it together for more than what he did there.
You gotta hope they found a true post prospect breakout.
Yeah, and
same thing with the Horwitz.
Yeah, because even he it was under 100 games last year that he played. So even the guys that you kind of feel like they're supposed to be the big guys in the lineup, there's like question marks with them. I did the for our little group thing that we're doing for the site for the season preview, we did like a hitter of the year, and like I came to two minds with it. It's like I feel like there's only two logical answers for that question, and one of them is the safe pick. The other one is like he's not really like a risky pick, but like he's more of the upside pick. And it's like Brian Reynolds, you know what Brian Reynolds is going to go out there and give you, and you can bank on it. He's going to be a solid above average player who his WAR will take a hit because of the defense, but like, I mean, he still nets out like way positive with it. Or you can go with like O'Neal Cruz, who like, it's kind of weird to say like a 2020 guy being like kind of a wild card, but he still kind of feels like a wild card that like there's still more there that you feel like he can give. And if if things click for him, like the floor seems pretty well established for him at this point. I feel like he's going to flirt with 2020 again this year easily, unless he just doesn't run on the bases, which I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. But like, there's also that potential there for more.
Right, and then that's
some of that.
And that's one of those areas where, if their little like pie chart goes perfectly as planned, that like it's like, okay, if you can just get the guys on base in front of him and he can just hit at a high enough clip with runners in scoring position or just guys on base, then that's probably an area where they can see a boost offensively. It might just be a matter of like winning games 3-2 because Cruz hit a 3-run home run.
Yeah. Yep. I feel
it'll be like Jack Sawinski's 2 years ago.
Yeah. I have an issue seeing, like, I don't see. I mean, obviously they got. When Horwitz is healthy, you have to figure that he's going to be an upgrade over what they've had at first base over the last couple of years. But I still don't see enough floor from this offense to think that they got better than what they did last year. The only reason that I would feel safe saying that they finished with more wins than they did last year is the fact that you get 10 more Paul Skeens start this year. And you have to feel somewhere in those 10 starts, there's another couple wins there. And I don't think the offense got so much worse. I mean, maybe if we're talking, like a whole month or two without Spencer Horwitz, then maybe we have to kind of recalculate things. But if he's only out like the first week or two, like, okay, and he gets going, then that's fine. You're not really missing much. But if this offense really takes a step back, I don't even think those 10 extra games from Paul Skeens is going to be enough to kind of get them back. I have them about in the same range. I haven't picked a final total yet, but I have them about the same range as they did last year. I can easily see them losing more than what they did last year without Jones. And then if Horowitz is out for like a month or
Yeah.
two, like easily.
Or this is me knocking on wood. Heaven forbid something happens to Skeens, or if he has to miss a couple of starts.
Yeah.
And similarly, if something happens to Reynolds or Cruz, like there's nothing to supplant that.
I mean, when you put it that way, like think about these two scenarios and tell me which one kind of seems worse. Paul Skeens doesn't make a full 30, 32 starts. He starts less games than he did last year because he has to miss some time. But in the pipeline, you have Bubba Chandler comes up. You have some like Braxton Ashcraft, Thomas Harrington. Maybe not the two highest upside guys, but the pretty well established floors to where you could they can eat you some innings. They'll have you some good games. They'll have more good than bad. But on the flip side, let's say Brian Reynolds goes down. He misses an extended amount of time. Who you bringing up there to kind of fill the gap there? Who's the guy who steps up offensively? I mean, that would be the dream, right? But like realistically, who comes up in his place? Who comes up? Who replaces that offense for him?
I mean, I will say, I'm still optimistic about Henry Davis.
Me too.
I want to see how things. I want to see how things go over the first couple weeks. I think. I know it's led to many arguments, but I do think they messed him up. Mm-hmm. He did appear to be somewhat getting back to his roots. I had to say that weird because I believe he's getting back to his roots, and I think he's gonna mash, or I hope he mashes, which would be a huge boost. But that whole fantasy aside. Yeah, you lose Reynolds. Oof. I mean, yeah, I guess then your hope is that Sawinski finds his 2023 self.
Yeah.
But then we're also kind of back. Well, this, maybe if that, and if that.
Yeah. Something to think about because, like, obviously, automatically people kind of feel like Skeens is the guy that you can't afford to lose, but like maybe Brian Reynolds doesn't have the ceiling that Skeens has, obviously, but it's hard to find someone who's going to put up his consistent numbers and get to even the floor that he's able to go at this point. So something to ponder.
They're not going to just pick up a 120 WRC plus guy.
No, that's not going to. Yeah. So
I would have had ideas, but they won't listen to me.
No. They know what they're doing, right? They know what they're doing.
No.
All right. So that's our thoughts on the major league team. Been wanting to kind of shift to the minor league side a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, we took a little bit of a break. Not only is the major league opening day on Thursday, but AAA opening day is the following day on Friday. I wanted to go kind of not level by level because we don't know the rosters yet, but I wanted to go upper level, lower level, and then rookie leagues, just to kind of give the people a little bit of a preview of maybe some players that we're looking at going into 2025. We're going to start with the upper level. So we don't know who's going to be there officially, but we have a pretty good idea of more or less where everyone's going to be at. So AA, AAA, who are a couple guys that you're kind of interested in, you're kind of really looking forward to seeing on the field this year?
Let's see. I'm excited to see what happens with Chang in a more hitter neutral park. Yep. He's someone else again. Going back to the whole hopefully changing approach a little bit to where he gets kind of back to where he was instead of this. Because it was Jonathan Mayo, I think, that talked about how he tried to get more lift in his swing and started swinging and missing more because he was trying to get more power. He's not someone that really needs to do that.
No.
So I'm kind of excited to see what happens with him. I'm also just trying to think of who's going to be in AAA. I don't know. Brannigan ain't going to jump that far. He'll probably go to AAA if anything.
Double-A. Yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow will likely be in AA. I don't think they're going to get pushy with him.
No. I mean, if there's any guys in AA you want to talk about too, guys, this is like AA, AAA for the upper levels. So most of my guys are going to probably be AA. I talk about. I mean, this also goes with saying that obviously we're excited to see the what's likely to be the AAA rotation at this point.
Right.
So,
well, I mean, and then obviously, I'm trying to. I guess it's hard to say Billy Cook just because I guess age at this point. He isn't really someone I like and I'm interested in, but I'm not going to say like I'm hyped about him.
yeah.
But Nick York to an extent, obviously, he's just one of those weird ones where it's like you want him on the roster, but he probably is better than a lot of the guys they've put on the roster as it stands. I don't know.
Yeah, he's
roster construction is just so weird.
It is. There's a he's a guy that I kind of feel like as a guy who, like me personally, I focus primarily on the minor leagues. So like I have 3 TVs set up on my office. Probably all 3 of them will have a minor league game on. I'll probably throw like the Pirates game on my tablet or something like that. As someone who's going to be watching the minors, it'll be nice to see him on the minor league screen because I love his game. I love watching him play. But he's a guy that also too that I don't feel like he has any business being on that minor league screen anymore. He's a guy that I should be when I hear his name on the tablet. My attention will kick over there. Okay, let's see how he's doing in the majors because he should be in the majors. He's more than major league ready at this point. Yeah. So
that's just one of those things again, though, just kind of like their roster construction and the type of players they've acquired. It's like, well, I don't really want them at shortstop, and I don't really want to. Like, I'm obviously not going to give up on Gonzalez at this point, and you're still hoping Key figures things out in year 7. He's not the greatest corner outfield spot, but I'd probably use him over Pham. But I also get the whole reasoning for bringing in Pham. Then this is where the tongue in cheek of another thing I've been saying for quite a few years is not that I'm against the whole McCutchen signing. It's just that it really handcuffs the roster.
So like my biggest. All right, so like think of Adam Frazier real quick. What positions do you feel like he's going to be playing, like on for the Pirates? Like probably second, maybe a little third. I wouldn't think any third unless Key goes down. So second, first, maybe some corner outfield. Yeah, sounds about right. And you think?
I mean, he basically which I mean, essentially he could have been the Adam Frazier.
Yeah. And I mean, I know they said they wanted the left-handed bat, but Nick York statistically is better against righties than he is against lefties. So if you have Frazier there as a lefty bat because you want someone to hit righties, then like Nick York just does that anyways, and he probably does it better. I would safely assume that he does it better at this point.
And then you could probably say that maybe they weren't expecting Andy Rodriguez to make the roster, so Frazier was the safe signing, I guess.
Yeah.
but then Endy made the roster, and because I mean, again, going back to, I mean, you have Bay and Sawinski for the outfield, and I mean,
Yeah.
Horwitz is going as a lefty when he comes back, so it's not like they need.
Yeah.
And
Okay, there we go. You froze up for a second. Yeah, but like
you got that
like,
Cody internet.
I got that Cody internet. Nah, I got T-Mobile. That thing, I'm half a mile away from the tower. Like my thing flies.
T-Mobile, so you got worse than Cody internet.
I mean, that's debatable. We've seen. Yeah, but one guy that I am very interested in, he'll probably start in Double A. Corey kind of did a good job, like building the Nick Samillo hype train for me a little bit. Like,
yeah,
I'm still kind of torn about how I feel about him, but like, if you take out the fact that he is like a little bit older first baseman or something like that, and you just look at what he did, like contact rate wise and like exit velocity wise, like that's some very intriguing stuff that he put up. Like, very little people did put like the type of contact together that he did.
Yeah.
No matter the level. So I'm not ready to throw in that he's like a legit prospect, but he's definitely a guy that I'm going to be watching early to see how it looks. Because like all of a sudden, like if he is something, then, you know, that's your other side of the Horwitz platoon, or that's like your DH answer in a couple years or something, like in a year or so. So he's the guy I'm watching early on. You mentioned Brannigan. I want to see how Brannigan does in a more pitcher-friendly ballpark. He's kind of feasted on Greensboro for the last couple of years. I want to see how legit the power is. We know the defense is going to be there. I want to see,
which I guess, you know, I do want to see if I want to see if Siani has the Double-A sophomore slump or not.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he starts in Double-A again, or you think they move him to Triple-A? I kind of hope he's in Triple-A to start the year.
Say that again.
Maybe it is me. I was seeing if you thought he was going to start in Triple-A, or if he's going back to Double-A.
Nah, I think he'll probably start in Double-A again.
Double-A.
But I mean, you never know. So you never know.
Yeah, gotcha. Anyone else you kind of keeping an eye out on early season as far as upper level guys?
I mean, I guess just some of the. I was even just thinking Abraham Gutierrez, just because he was always someone that we kind of liked. So I'm still pulling for him.
He got a lot of playing time in spring this year.
Yeah, he I saw him. He was in there quite a bit, so I was like, okay, that's interesting. I guess probably I don't want to say alarm bells with Piguero, but that almost feels like that ship's sailing.
Yeah.
Who? Dang it! Who was I gonna say? I will be interested to see where Mitch Jebb starts and how things go with him.
Not that it's worth anything, because like you made that good point to bring up the whole Tamar playing with the Double-A guys last year, and he started in High A. But like he like every game that I saw him down there, he was with Double-A players. So
I mean, he should be. He should have been already, but you know.
Yeah, it happens. Last, I'll group all these guys together real quick too. bunch of lefties. Hunter Barco, Anthony Solometo, Jaden Woods. Woods been my guy from the draft. Got some spring training playing time. Did not go well for him. Barco. And just want to see if Solometo can hold that kind of velocity, the 91, 92 plus during the regular season at this point. Kind of feels like he's heading towards a lefty reliever kind of thing at this point. But, he's still 22, so I guess we'll see.
Still got time.
Yeah,
Still got time.
But all right. Did you have anything else you wanted to add before we start wrapping things up?
Nothing at the moment.
No.
I'm sure I'll think of something 5 minutes after we stop.
Yeah. So no Nolan knowledge until we shut this off.
Basically. I did finally get my solar panels activated. That was nice.
Yeah, that was quite the saga for you.
Whew. Oh, buddy. That was a roller coaster. But they're on now and generating solar. So it's nice.
That's good. That's also good.
Nolan knowledge. It's worth it. I think
it's worth it. Okay. All right. So, where can everyone find you on the social media stuff in case people have forgotten since the last time we've done one of these?
Yeah, and I haven't been posting much as of late, but at Nola Jeffy, NOLAJEFFY on either Blue Sky or the Bird app.
As always, find me at _Murphy88, Anthony Murphy on Blue Sky. My latest Baseball America article dropped Monday when we recorded. Esmeralda Valdez, had a chance to talk to him while I was down there. BK Pittsburgh Sports, I've been doing a countdown of the top 5 prospects, kind of breaking them down. Did Tamar Johnson today. We'll have Thomas Harrington up Tuesday morning. And Bucks on Deck. Subscribe. Daily articles, daily features. Got some awesome stuff planned for this year. I just booked a couple more trips for today. I'll be down in Bradenton in May. I'll be down in Greensboro in April. And looking forward to it. So thanks for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Deuces.